The palace walls had carried whispers before, but nothing like this. The night Queen Camilla was humiliated before the court and brought to tears as Princess Catherine executed a move no one had dared to imagine. The silence that followed was not peace. It was the sound of a monarchy splintering in real time. The evening had begun like any other royal gathering, cloaked in grandeur and ceremony. Chandeliers burned above polished floors. Silks rustled as courtiers bowed and curtsied, and yet beneath, the glitter hung a tension too sharp to ignore. Whispers had already spread across the corridors of Buckingham Palace in the days before. Rumors of a secret decree, a move so daring it could shatter the very core of the monarchy. Courtiers who were usually unflappable exchanged furtive glances, their faces betraying the fear that history was about to turn in an unexpected direction. Camilla, confident as ever, stepped into the hall believing the night would be hers. She expected recognition, titles, perhaps a new seal upon her power. She moved through the crowd with rehearsed smiles, her laughter polite, her steps graceful. But the air felt different. Conversations hushed when she approached. Applause sounded
hollow.
Even the palace staff who once greeted her with eager bows now lowered their eyes. Camilla, for all her poise, felt a shadow pressing close. Across the room stood Catherine. She did not simply arrive, she presided. Her presence was magnetic, her aura unshakable. She did not speak, yet her silence commanded more than any speech. Guests found themselves unconsciously drawn toward her, as though sensing that the balance of power was tilting before their eyes. Her calm smile masked a conviction sharper than steel. Camilla felt its edge keenly, though no words had been exchanged. Even the most seasoned advisors, men and women who had weathered decades of palace intrigue, could sense it. History was shifting, and the moment could not be stopped. For weeks, rumors had swirled that Catherine was quietly meeting with confidants, that secret documents were being prepared, that William stood silently but firmly at her side. At first, the gossip seemed like idle speculation. Yet tonight, watching Catherine's unwavering gaze and Camilla's faltering composure, no one could dismiss it. Some whispered that Catherine carried Diana's spirit, that justice long denied was about to take form. Others insisted it was not vengeance but restoration, a cleansing of shadows too long tolerated. Whatever the truth, all agreed on one thing. The monarchy would not leave this night unchanged. Behind Catherine's grace lived years of buried conflict. To the world, she was composed, dignified, a model of continuity. But she had watched in silence as Camilla's influence deepened, reshaping the monarchy itself. Each new honor granted to Camilla felt to Catherine like an insult to the memory of Queen Elizabeth, and a betrayal of Diana's sacrifice. The breaking point came after the coronation. Ancient titles once reserved for the most revered were placed upon Camilla's shoulders. To most it was ceremonial, but to Catherine it was rewriting history, silencing Elizabeth's quiet warnings and burying Diana beneath ribbons of protocol. Each honor bestowed upon Camilla was another wound to the legacy Catherine had vowed to protect. The bitterness spread through every corner of palace life. Family dinners that once held polite chatter became battlegrounds of silence. Glances carried sharper edges than words. Behind closed doors, tension thickened. Camilla, emboldened by her new status, mistook Catherine's restraint for weakness. But silence had become Catherine's most dangerous weapon. Each insult, each slight, she recorded, in silence, nurturing a rebellion not of rage but of patience. At Catherine's side stood William. He shared her anger, her belief that the monarchy was sliding into dangerous hands. Yet he was torn, his duty to the institution clashing with the lingering hope of a son who wanted his father's happiness. He urged patience, warning that a public clash could fracture the crown beyond repair. Catherine listened, but her resolve had hardened. She was no longer willing to wait. Her loyalty to Elizabeth's memory demanded action. Her devotion to Diana's legacy demanded justice. She began to plan quietly, deliberately, every step measured. She understood the monarchy's future required more than Charles's reign. It required cleansing, Renewal. The removal of the one figure who embodied scandal and betrayal at the heart of the throne. This was not an impulsive strike. It was a war Catherine had waged in silence for years. She would not waste her move on petty humiliation. She would strike at the foundation of Camilla's power, her royal honors, the symbols that transformed her from mere consort to queen. Catherine knew precisely where the blade must fall, and she would wield it with precision. And when she finally struck, she struck deep. In the dead of night, a single document appeared on the king's desk. A royal decree signed with Catherine's hand dared to strip Camilla of the honors she had fought decades to secure. It was no impulse, no angry scrawl. It was crafted with surgical precision, every line calculated, every phrase sharpened to cut. Catherine had studied the labyrinth of royal protocol for years, mastering every twist. Now she used that knowledge not for ceremony, but for war. She knew the monarchy lived and breathed through documents such as these. That words in official ink carried more weight than fury, more permanence than whispers. This was not suggestion. It was judgment. Cold, final, inescapable. The decree looked simple, restrained in tone, yet its meaning thundered across the institution. Camilla's hard-won honors, the titles that elevated her from consort to sovereign, in the eyes of many, were reduced to ashes with a stroke of Catherine's pen. In the world of crowns, legacy could be rewritten overnight. Bearing the royal insignia and seal, its authority came not from Catherine's anger, but from the very structure of monarchy itself. By navigating obscure but binding laws, she ensured the decree stood unchallengeable. It was law, not vendetta. And when the signature dried, history shifted. Catherine felt the weight of what she had done, yet she did not falter. This was not only about Camilla. It was about Elizabeth's memory, Diana's wounds, and protecting the throne from a shadow that refused to lift. The decree was her weapon, silent but devastating. Word of its existence spread quietly among those closest to the crown. Some advisors whispered admiration, finally seeing the steel beneath Catherine's grace. Others recoiled, warning of fallout too great to contain, of Charles's fury, of Camilla's wrath, of a kingdom unprepared for open conflict. But Catherine had not written it for approval. She had written it to end a war. Meanwhile, Camilla moved through her days oblivious to the storm. She smiled for cameras, greeted dignitaries, and wore her crown with satisfaction, never realizing her power had already been undone in silence. Her victories felt secure, even as the ground beneath her crumbled. The irony was cruel. Her reign had been stripped from her before she even knew it. The decree was not only law, it was a message. Vengeance disguised as protocol. A declaration that Catherine's patience had ended, and that mercy would not return. When the letter finally reached Camilla, her hands trembled. The envelope looked ordinary, yet inside lay devastation. Expecting routine correspondence, she broke the seal, only to find her honors erased line by line. The very recognition she had fought for, the validation of decades beside Charles, was gone. At first, disbelief chained her. She scanned the words again and again, hunting for error. But the decree was absolute, written with the finality of stone. Her face flushed with rage, then despair. She had survived whispers, endured scandal, outlasted public disapproval. But this was different. This was not rumor or tabloids. This was the crown itself cutting her down. And at its heart was not Charles, but Catherine. The betrayal cut deeper than Camilla imagined. For years, Charles had defended her, shielded her. Yet here was his daughter-in-law's unmistakable mark. Catherine's silence had never been submission. It had been calculation. And now Camilla understood. The true power to shatter her did not rest with the king, but with Catherine. Behind her chamber doors, fury dissolved into sobs. The queen who once embodied resilience collapsed in humiliation. Courtiers whispered of her devastation, speaking of her as destroyed. She was not reduced by scandal or public opinion, but by the icy strike of family. The image was unforgettable, a queen undone not by the people, but by Catherine's deliberate hand. Yet the monarchy marched on. Engagements continued, duties performed, appearances kept. No allowance was made for her tears. To the world, the crown looked unshaken. But within the palace walls, Camilla's reign was already collapsing. The letter was more than paper. It was a signal that her position was fragile, her authority borrowed. Catherine had ensured the humiliation would not remain private. It would echo, stain, and linger. The night Camilla had dreamed of ruling beside Charles dissolved into a nightmare, one where she existed only in his shadow, beneath Catherine's merciless gaze. Her tears were not an ending, but the beginning of a storm Catherine had deliberately unleashed, for she had never fought this war alone. Behind her stood William, silent yet unwavering, ready to see Camilla's influence crushed forever. To the world, William was the embodiment of calm, careful diplomacy, the image of a monarch in waiting, steady and unshakable, who valued unity above all else. His public persona was one of restraint, duty, and quiet dignity. But beneath that polished exterior lay a determination forged in grief, sharpened by decades of silent observation, and rooted in an unyielding loyalty to the woman he loved, and to the mother he had lost. Catherine may have been the one wielding the pen, the one standing in the public eye, but William's presence was always there in the shadows, shaping her resolve and strengthening her hand. Every bold step she took carried his unspoken approval, and it was that silent partnership that gave her the courage to challenge a queen who believed herself untouchable. William's path was more complicated than Catherine's, but no less fierce. His loyalty to Diana's memory had always burned within him, guiding his vision of what the monarchy must become. He had lived through the storm that destroyed her, seen the way the crown had crushed her spirit, and endured the scars her tragedy left upon the institution he was destined to inherit. To William, Camilla was not simply his father's wife. She was the symbol of unfinished wounds, a living reminder of betrayal that still divided the nation. It wasn't bitterness that fueled him, it was duty. He could not allow the monarchy's future to be chained to a figure whose presence reopened the deepest fractures in the public's trust. Though he spoke cautiously in public, in private, his heart beat in perfect rhythm with Catherine's. Together, they became a shield. He did not act with fiery declarations, but with whispers, with carefully placed words, with nods across palace corridors that signaled a united purpose. William quietly rallied allies within the household. Senior courtiers who had grown weary of Camilla's growing sway found in him a sympathetic ear. Advisors who once hesitated at Catherine's boldness now drew confidence from knowing the future. King himself stood unwaveringly at her side. These networks were not built in daylight but in shadowed corners, in quiet conversations after long dinners, in subtle assurances that when the moment came, Catherine would not stand alone. Still, William could not avoid the hardest truth. He would have to confront his father. Behind closed doors, he spoke with words heavy with both sorrow and duty. Camilla's reign cannot last. It was not a plea from son to father. It was a warning from heir to king. He spoke of public trust, of the risks of allowing old scandals, to define a new era, of the danger of alienating a nation that still clung to Diana's memory as a guiding light. His words carried weight, but Charles dismissed them, blinded by love and loyalty. To Charles, William's concerns were not warnings but resentments, echoes of a grief he had never learned to forgive. The rejection hardened William's resolve. By the time Catherine moved decisively to strip Camilla of her honors, William no longer sought compromise. He no longer prayed his father would see what he saw. Husband and wife stood together as one, bound by loyalty, grief, and conviction. Their alliance was not simply marital, it was political, strategic, unbreakable. Camilla may have worn the crown, but it was William and Catherine who now commanded the future. For Charles, Catherine's decree was more than a political crisis. It was a dagger thrust between the two women who defined his life. The wife he had crowned, and the daughter-in-law, who carried Diana's shadow like an unspoken banner. When news of Catherine's actions reached him, Fury came first. He paced in silence, face hardened, words clipped, unable to fathom how such a decision had been made without his consent. But beneath his anger was something deeper, something far more dangerous. The monarchy had always been a delicate balance between public favor and private loyalty, and now that balance had shattered. His heart was torn in ways only he could understand. To defend Camilla meant risking the wrath of the people. To support Catherine meant betraying the woman who had stood by him when the world despised him. It was a torment that no crown could ease. In his darkest hours, Charles remembered words once spoken in private by Queen Elizabeth. She had warned him gently but firmly that Camilla would always carry limits. The monarchy demanded sacrifice, not indulgence. She had not opposed Camilla outright, but she had understood something Charles had refused to accept: that Camilla could never fully embody the crown in the way Catherine could. Those words now echoed like thunder in Charles's mind, impossible to silence. As if the emotional storm were not enough, Charles's health weighed heavily in the background. His body, already weakened, mirrored the fragility of his reign. Each passing day reminded him of his mortality, of the short years left to secure his legacy. Unlike his mother's decades-long rule, his reign was fleeting, immediate, and uncertain. Succession was no longer a distant question. It was pressing, urgent, unavoidable. His advisors saw it more clearly than he did. They gathered around him, their voices low but firm. "Side with Catherine," they urged. "The monarchy cannot survive otherwise." Their words carried no malice, only pragmatism. They laid the truth bare. Camilla's reign was unsustainable. Catherine was the future. Resistance would not only weaken the monarchy but tarnish Charles's own fragile legacy. Charles listened, but each word struck him as betrayal. He could not bear to admit the truth he had always denied: that the people would never embrace Camilla fully, not as they embraced Catherine. His silence became his shield, a desperate attempt to delay the inevitable. But to Camilla, that silence was the deepest betrayal of all. She had endured ridicule, scorn, and rejection for his sake, only to find herself abandoned when she needed him most. She saw in his hesitation not loyalty but surrender, and that broke her more deeply than Catherine's decree ever could. The rift between them widened, not through argument, but through the absence of defense. And as Charles faltered, Catherine only grew stronger. Her influence spread not through force but through the adoration of the people, through the echo of Diana's legacy, through the quiet certainty that she embodied the monarchy's future. When the news broke, the nation did not mourn Camilla's tears. Instead, they cheered Catherine's courage. Across towns and cities, whispers rose into applause. Applause swelled into chants, and chants roared into something no palace gate could silence. To the people, Catherine was not simply a princess or a consort. She was the true Queen of Hearts. And William, the son who had once walked behind Diana's coffin, now stood at her side, ensuring the monarchy's survival and reshaping its future. The country had long doubted Camilla's right to wear the crown, and now, with her honors stripped away by Catherine's unflinching hand, those doubts exploded into fury. The people saw in Catherine what they had once seen in Diana: dignity, compassion, resilience. Headlines told the story with brutal clarity. Papers splashed with images of Camilla's collapse, not as a victim, but as a dethroned pretender. Commentators called Catherine's act the boldest move by a royal consort in modern history. Camilla's humiliation became entertainment. Talk. Shows dissected it, tabloids magnified it, social media replayed it endlessly. But beneath the spectacle, deeper wounds reopened. Diana's tragedy returned with piercing intensity. The betrayal, the loss, the tears the nation had never forgotten. Catherine's defiance became more than vengeance. It was redemption, justice for Diana, justice for the crown. She had done what Diana never could: stand against Camilla and reclaim dignity from the shadows of betrayal. Polls revealed the shift instantly. Camilla's fragile trust among the people collapsed. Catherine's popularity soared. She was no longer just a princess consort. She became the monarchy's moral compass. Public sentiment crystallized. Catherine was the future, Camilla the past. The monarchy, once fractured, appeared revitalized under Catherine's boldness. Yet, inside the palace, Camilla was not ready to surrender. Broken but unyielding, she plotted her counterattack. Her tears gave way to steely defiance. She turned first to Charles, pleading for loyalty, reminding him of their shared trials. But he offered only silence, too weary to fight. His hesitation cut deeper than Catherine's decree. So Camilla reached for old allies, calling in favors, whispering in gilded corridors. She painted Catherine as a usurper who endangered the monarchy. But promises of support crumbled. Secrets she threatened to reveal were dismissed as desperation. The palace tilted toward Catherine, leaving Camilla increasingly isolated. Once feared, her voice became hollow, a storm without thunder. Still, she refused to admit defeat. In late-night meetings, her words grew sharper, her desperation more dangerous. She threatened to drag others down with her, but each outburst only deepened her downfall. Even her sympathizers recoiled, unwilling to risk their futures on a queen whose grip had slipped beyond recovery. And then Catherine delivered the final blow. In a chilling public ceremony, she stripped Camilla of her honors. Her crown remained, but her dignity was shattered. The announcement echoed like thunder across the marble hall. Catherine stood unshaken while Camilla's composure crumbled before millions. Charles sat pale and motionless, unable to defend her. William stepped forward, aligning himself with Catherine, not just as husband but as heir, symbol of the monarchy's future. The power that had once belonged to Camilla slipped forever from her grasp. This was not just the removal of titles, it was the passing of authority, the coronation of Catherine in the hearts of the people. As cameras captured Camilla's tears, history recorded more than humiliation. It recorded the night Princess Catherine became unstoppable.